What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and thank you so much for jumping into another video. My name is Josh, and I'm just your average Joe day trader. Listen, we've had a heck of a market day. Today is Monday. It is August 18th. The market's been closed for about an hour and 15 minutes. It's 5:15 now. The S&P 500 currently sits in the post market at down 0.01%, while the Dow Jones is down 0.08%, and the NASDAQ is up 0.03%. And there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things happening in the news today coming out of the weekend into Monday. If you caught my video from last night, you saw that we had a strong market gap up, but waking up this morning and opening up my brokerage account to see what was going on, didn't feel like we had much of a gap up, because most stocks had turned and were running back down and either had met at the position where they gapped up or were even going lower than where the market had opened up when we did open at 8 p.m. last night, Sunday night. But there's a lot of things going on in the news, and I wanted to share several of those with you all. First of all, you all have seen and are well aware, I'm sure, that President Trump has been in negotiations, having meetings with both Putin from Russia and Zelensky from Ukraine. And while we see that there's a lot of discussion and the news media are, tearing apart this and that and analyzing and trying to understand what's going on, we don't really have anything concrete as far as what is happening right now with that deal. We don't know exactly what Trump and Putin talked about, because when Trump was interviewed, if you caught any of that interview on Fox News, you saw that he would answer the questions almost in a way cryptically, because he's not answering the questions. And I'm sure some of it is he can't really share what's happening yet, right? Because there's no real deal yet. The three leaders haven't met. The goal is to get all three leaders together. I agree, that has to happen. You have to have Putin, Zelensky, and Trump together in the same room so that Putin and Zelensky can kind of hash out and talk about what's going on and come up with a plan, come up with a strategy, come up with an agreement with the United States, being Trump and whoever else is in the room there. I know that we had Marco Rubio as part of some of those meetings, which I think is fantastic. I am a huge Marco Rubio fan, very common, level-headed, individual that really knows his stuff. If anybody's going to help get it done, it's going to be Marco Rubio. That's, again, my personal feeling, and this is not political, so you could hate Marco Rubio and that's fine with me. You could love Marco Rubio, that's fine with me. Same with Trump. I'm not in it for the politics, but at some point we need the politicians, the leaders, to figure out how to compromise and come to some sort of a suggested ceasefire and peacemaking, end of the war, because it's been years and it's just hundreds of thousands of people dying for no reason, literally right now. And the war continued all the way through to last night, even with the negotiation talks with Putin. Ukraine and Russia are still fighting at the lines, fighting at those borders that Russia wants to take over from Ukraine. So listen, I'm not a war expert or an expert on this war, but I can tell you it's not good. And so we need for this to be resolved. And hopefully the meetings that's coming up, the meetings that are coming up with Ukraine and Russia and Trump in the US will find some resolve, and we can put an end to this war and get some stability back to what's going on in that situation. But as far as the stock market goes, there's been several really, I feel like, awesome things that have been happening in the market. Now, I love to share about the different stocks and the different companies that I trade in, that I am in every day. I'm still firm believer in AMPX, Amprius, BBAI, Big Bear AI, right? APLD, Applied Digital. Can't wait to share with you about that today. Those are companies that I love to live in, to day trade, to make money in every single day, almost every single day. Some of them are a little bit challenging right now, but if I can find the right level of support and know where the support and resistance levels are, I'm going in. I'm going to see the candlestick turn. I'm going to get into that stock and I'm going to make money, and I'm going to see profit, take profit. So if I can make $100 on each one of the stocks I trade in a day, I'm very happy. Today, APLD, I made over $530 something. Extremely happy. Could have let it even run longer. Potentially made up to $2,000. So I left over $1,500 on the table. But you know what? I'm a little bit of a less risk taker, safer play trader. And when I see profit and I feel comfortable where it's at and I know that I'm doing well, I see profit, take profit, get out to live for another day. I want to be able to put that money back to work for me tomorrow and not end up in a situation where some sort of crazy something comes across CNN or Fox News and it causes everything to turn hard, run fast down, and I'm now sitting in a debt and I'm not in profit. Now I've got to bag hold it, swing it to the next day, potentially, or sell it out and take the loss, which I hate to do because you don't lose anything until you sell it. I'm in several stocks that are down, waiting for them to come back up. I haven't lost anything because they're down. I haven't sold them. I haven't lost anything, right? But that could be thousands of dollars I could have back in trading that I could use tomorrow in APLD again, or in BBAI, or in SoFi, or in Intel, or whatever the case may be. So, that's just how I look at the market for myself. But those are great stocks and great things going on. Bank of America actually posted an amazing article today that I read. I'm going to share sort of some bits and pieces of it with you. I'm not going to read it word by word, but I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of the high level of what it's all about. But I thought it was really kind of incredible and interesting, and I figured I'd share that with you as well. But Bank of America is basically suggesting that the era of the biggest stocks dominating the markets may be done. Okay. When we talk about the biggest stocks, we're talking about the S&P 500's top stocks, the Mag 7, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, which is Google, Meta, Palantir, right? Those are the big names, the big stocks that drive the S&P 500. And if you've watched my other videos, when I talk about the S&P 500, I'm talking about a group of stocks, over 500 companies. There's actually almost 514 tickers because several stocks have multiple tickers that make up the S&P 500, of which 157 of those, okay, let's say 150, are small and mid cap stocks that basically navigate the tech sector. The 7 in the 157 are the Magnificent 7, been known as the Mag 7, and they drive the S&P 500 up and down based on what they're doing. If you see Google and Meta and Amazon and Apple, running down, then the whole S&P 500 is potentially going to run down with it. So it always amazes me that the S&P 500, over 500 companies, okay, but there's 150 plus the Mag 7 that drive that S&P 500 up and down. Basically, what Bank of America is suggesting is that the stock market has always been about these biggest companies driving those largest gains, and have been doing that for the better part of the last 10 years. Okay. But they're saying like, hey, that's over. That era is over. We're coming into a new era because they say, quote, history would suggest there's more to go in cap weighted dominance. Okay. Which Bank of America's head of US equity and quantitative strategy wrote in notes to their clients. And what he's saying is basically that if the Fed's next move is a rate cut, and if the indicator is shifting to a recovery, then we think the run may be closer to done. Now, let me explain to you what that means, right? So there are basically 4 cycles in the market. You have, and when we talk about Bank of America's indicator, the 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 market cycle breaks into 4 parts. We have recovery, we have mid cycle, you have the late cycle, and you have the downturn. Now, we've been saying for a long time that our current market condition has been somewhat of a downturn. Yes, you could say some of the greatest stocks, biggest cap stocks are running up, hitting all-time highs, S&P 500, new all-time highs, every day newest all-time highs, right? But generally, the market's been somewhat in this downturn. Well, Bank of America is saying, based on their analysis and research, that that's over, that we're now going into the recovery stage. The recovery stage is a very positive thing for these mega caps with the most earnings power, strongest market position, to turn into this recovery phase. It means the market is going to get stronger and continue to grow in an potential upward move. Now, I've also shared with you, August into September, up to the second week of October are very challenging months historically. But the market's not the same market that it's been year over year. This has been one of the strangest, or last couple of years, the strangest markets we've been in. Markets generally are run by technicals. We're not leading and running by technicals anymore. The market is led and being run by emotion, by social media, by Reddit, by X, by dogfights between the president and company owners, and countries fighting against each other with tariffs. Okay. This is an emotional market, and you have to be very careful because the volatility is at an extremely all-time high based on market conditions. But if we're turning into a recovery phase, that is awesome, because that means that all stocks, most stocks, should flow in an upward potential. Now, there's probably many of you that are listening to this right now going, Josh, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. This is my opinion. This is what I'm sharing with you based on my experience in the market and what I've seen over the years. Okay. You can make your own determination based on your own due diligence, your own homework, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm sharing with you my opinion. If you have a difference of opinion, drop a comment and let me know. Be nice, be respectful, because I want to be nice and respectful to you. And I'm trying to make sure that all of us do that. Let's play nice and fair. Okay. But I just want you to understand what I'm seeing in the market. And Bank of America is saying exactly what I feel and what I'm seeing. And so hopefully this change into recovery is a great thing for us. To add more to it, since the start of the current bull market, which actually began in October, right? I just told you August, September, October, second week of October, third week of October, the market turns and starts running strong again. Well, they're saying in 2022, in October, is when this bull market started. Large cap technology has been the clear winner. And what do I tell you all the time? I trade in the tech sector. I love the tech stock sector. I live in and out. I probably edited that out. I had to say it 3 times to get it right. But they absolutely are the clear winner. And I can show you that in my account, how much money I've made just living in the technology sector. So the top 20 holdings have actually helped to pull this index higher, while the other 480 stocks have been basically a net drag. They've been sort of dragging on the index in relative terms, but causing the market to hold. Now, with the recovery, what we should see is the entire 500 plus S&P 500 stock run to continue up in an upward pattern. And I'm very excited to see what that's going to do. Wanted to share all this with you. I also wanted to share something else with you because many of us live in and out of the S&P 500. I do. And I didn't realize, and in looking at the numbers and going through this, basically taking this summary, this story, and taking a look at this, what I realized is that the small cap Russell 2000, which is RUT, okay, which hasn't hit a new high since 2021, is basically up 6% in August. It's outperforming right now the S&P 500, which roughly had a 3.5% gain over the same time period. So check out RUT, check out the Russell 2000. I'm going to start doing some homework, some digging, some due diligence in the Russell 2000. I want to understand what's going on there, but I first need to understand what lives in the Russell 2000. What stocks live in there? Take a look at it, do your homework, do your due diligence. And if you know something about it that I don't, because I'm just learning about it myself and getting into it, drop some comments and let me know. What do you know? What are we learning? To move on, we also have had some pretty awesome news as far as Intel, right? So hear me out on Intel. I will tell you up front, I was at one time a huge Intel fan. I got an Intel. I've made a lot of money in Intel. I was day trading Intel, had a long-term hold in Intel, and then it sort of bottomed out on me and I was left bag holding Intel. And because I was bag holding it, I got a sour taste in my mouth about it. I actually waited until it broke even and then it took into profit. I let it go as far as I thought it could in profit. I sold out of it. It ran up a little bit more. It had some good news right after that. Of course, that's exactly how it always happens. You sell a stock because you don't feel like it's performing. And then what happens? They get some positive news and something runs. Well, we're back there again. I'm back in Intel. I bought some this morning and it dropped. Okay. So now I'm back in this position where I have Intel that I hope would be more of a run up today, but it dropped back down. Now everyone's telling me, chill out, relax, don't worry about it. Intel potentially is going to explode. And let me tell you why. Intel is in negotiations with the Trump administration about potentially an investment that the United States would make in Intel. Right now, they're saying it's 10%. There were other discussions about 15% to China. We're saying it's a 10% investment where it will provide essential support to Intel so that they can continue the process. And if you weren't aware of this, they are in process of trying to build a factory hub project. It's a very ambitious project, and they want to build the largest chip manufacturing facility globally right here in the United States. Well, what does Trump want? He wants that type of manufacturing in the United States. He wants the US to have the best of the best not from China, but here in the US. And so by Trump negotiating, or the administration negotiating to support that by saying we will put a 10% investment. Now, you think 10%, like no big deal. No, we're talking billions of dollars that would go into this deal, okay? That would allow Intel to move forward. They're in delays, to continue to move forward with building this project to, in essence, be a revolutionary chip company, or continue to be. They already are an incredible company, but to be revolutionary here in the United States for the United States. So there's a lot of discussion about that. And while this is going on, and in response to this news, Intel's shares rose by about 8.9%, okay, on August 14th, and then closed about 7.4% higher at $23.86, which gave the company a market capitalization of approximately $104.4 billion. Okay. And then after hours, the stock continued to run an additional 4% in the after hours. So here we are now on August 18th. And what ended up happening today? Well, we had a bit of a pullback. The Intel dropped down, and I'm in the drop down now, but I'm in it because they haven't finalized this deal. Now, maybe it won't end up being anything. I don't think that's true, because if you look at this picture right here, Intel's basically already somewhat, visually confirming this is a done deal. Look, their chips are red, white, and blue. Okay. Hello, United States of America, baby. So I believe strongly that it's going to happen. And they're also in discussion regarding Intel, which reflects a recent announcement from the Department of Defense, where they disclosed plans to take a $400 million preferred equity stake in U.S. rare earth producer MP, the Materials Corporation, which therefore made the Pentagon the largest shareholder in that company. So the U.S. government, in talks acquiring stake in Intel, was originally created and published, okay, by Verdict, which is a global data owned brand. And they are saying, like, hey, look at what they just did with MP. And if the same thing happens with MT, which skyrocketed MP, it's going to skyrocket Intel. So I'm very excited. I bought back in. I'm bag holding it right now. I am mentally, okay, and in my heart saying, long-term hold. Don't get too excited. Let's see what happens. But if they sign a contract, a government, if they sign an agreement and there's ink on the paper, man, Intel's going to run. And I'm going to be in that one. So you have to do your own homework, your own due diligence, right, to see what you want to do. The other one I want to share with you today, TeraWulf. What happened today? It's up 14%. TeraWulf continues to run. It crossed over $10, went up over $10. We'll look now at the chart to see where it closed today, but it ran from under 9 up over 10 and continues to just live on this good news. And the understanding is potentially in 30 days, or now 24 or 26 days, that Google's going to make another announcement for some additional support to TeraWulf, and it's going to be incredible. So keep your eyes on that one also. Last I want to talk about, and then we're going to look at the charts, Applied Digital, APLD. Many people that have been commenting, or even in social media, have been saying APLD, it did its run, it can't survive now because CoreWeave sold its warrants, there's nothing happening with it. We literally, all of you that are solid, loyal to APLD, knew that APLD would run again. Well, what happened today? APLD announced that in September 2025, they're going to be building another location data center, huge data center and because of that run, and we're going to look at their stock because of that run, they in essence went from about $13 and change today all the way to $17. And they're sitting somewhere in that $16 range. But we're going to go to the charts, take a look at that. APLD, don't sleep on it. Just like I keep telling everybody, BBAI, don't sleep on it. A lot of positive news. Some incredible things are about to happen for BBAI. Get ready. Okay, let's go look at the charts real quick, see what the market did for us today, and I will share with you those stocks. So when we look at the average Joe best day trade stock new list, I'll throw it up here for a minute so you can screenshot it if you don't have it yet. You can pause right here and go ahead and take a picture, write them all down. This is the new list that we're going to follow for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Remember, none of this is financial advice. Don't buy anything because of Josh or any other YouTuber. Okay. I listen to a whole bunch of different YouTubers, and I'll be honest with you, I am usually disappointed in what I hear and what is shared. I'm just giving you raw, what is Josh doing based on his experience, based on what he's learning within the Discord group. Okay. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But this is not financial advice. Please don't take it as that. Carnival remained on the list. Look at this beautiful run today. Let me get to the 15-minute chart so you can see this a little bit cleaner, but a really, really beautiful run. $29.24 all the way to $30.12, closed at $29.27. Nice run. And I keep saying, listen, you wake up in the morning, when you decide, hey, what stocks am I going to get into as day trades? Go to this list first and take a look and see what they're doing pre-market. See what they did in the 24-hour market if they're a 24-hour stock. And then make some decisions based on the opening bell and what did the stock do? What are your candlesticks telling you? What are support and resistance telling you? I can't say that enough, but I have to repeat it over and over and over again for everyone because I want this community to succeed and I want to succeed. And we all should be getting rich together by knowing which stocks to be in and out of. Carnival did beautifully today. Centene, okay? Centene is a new one for the list today. Centene Corp. Look, it had an awesome open. You had an opportunity to get into it this morning at about 28.75. Run it all the way up to a high of 29.56. Beautiful stock. Spent a bit of the day. You could have gotten to an even higher 29. You see what this is right here. 29.56. Okay, I think I said that. Yep, 29.56. It matched it, and then it ran down. Okay. SoFi. Nice day for SoFi. I'm in SoFi. Made my money in SoFi today. Very happy with it. Closed at $24.23, sitting at $24.23 in the aftermarket right now. $23.41 to $24.25. Nice, almost full dollar run. IREN, beautiful run today for IREN, $19.28 up to a high of $21.22. SBET, same beautiful run. See, I knew last night when we went to bed and we saw this gap up in the S&P 500, which I'll show you. And then you can even see the gap right here. Look, this was the closing on Friday. Here's the opening on Sunday night, okay? Everything gapped up a little bit. Even with this hard drop down, I had said based on seeing futures were up and everything was running sort of up, I felt it was going to be a green day. We had a nice green day. Yes, S&P, NASDAQ, all closed down a little bit, okay? But your individual day trade stocks, remember, you can make money in any single one of these every day. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. Pick the right ones. Know your candlestick patterns, okay? SBET, hard drop, okay? First it kicked up, hard drop, and fully engulfing, red candle, okay? Came here. You have this, dragonfly, doji, and boom, look at the size of that candle, and then you just had to follow the money, okay? QBTS, another nice run today for QBTS. APLD, well, I shared that with you. Nice. It's only showing 16.92 here. It did hit a high of $17 at one point. QUBT all day ran up. Look at that. You could have just gotten to that today and forgot about it. And it ran all day today. Run, another one. Nice. Not as hard of a run up as the prior day, okay, because of the news, but it still continued to open hard to 16.57. Could have gotten in and out very quick on this 15 minutes. And then it came down and you could have just slowly let it progress up a little bit for some money in the bank account there. NVTS had a nice run here after a hard drop. And BBAI, same hard drop with the open, ran up half the day. You saw this and you get out. Opportunity to get in at around $5.80 and get out here in this candle somewhere around $6.13 as the high. Good chance to make money in BBAI. And I promise you, as far as I know and I'm concerned, in my opinion, not financial advice, BBAI is not done. Get ready, because if you see the $6.09, okay, resistance level, it keeps being rejected below it and above it. It stays there. Okay. Came down, hard down, but it's back, got rejected 3 times, coming back down. Where do you think it's going? SMR, nice run up today. Kind of across the board. I probably wouldn't have traded SMR today, but you did have an opportunity to run up. IONQ, Ionic, same. Good morning. Rocket Labs, everyone's talking about Rocket Labs and what it's doing. 43.60 down here. Could have bought it at the open, $44 up to $47. Okay, nice $3 range. HIMS, it's kind of sitting flat right now, but I can tell you I'm waiting for HIMS to finish the dip so I can buy back into HIMS. SMCI, beautiful run up today. about $1.60 per share. Hood, I told you, oh yeah, look, guys, here's my strategy on this one. I told you, and here's a perfect example. This is my strategy. So I set up my box based on the last day market. You had the high and the low. It broke out, which I knew in the post market, 24-hour overnight. Look what it did in that gap up. It broke out and it did ride its way back down. And then it opened and it dropped hard. But look what it did here. You could literally say, I know you may not love it, 110.20 is my support level. It hit the support level, sat here, and turned. And all it did the rest of the day is run from 109.78 all the way up to $115.20. Nice run for Hood. And look, my strategy worked. Palantir, nice up in the morning, hard hit, ran down, coming back up in the afternoon. Not so much a day trade, but every now and then I do throw some money in there. And when I see it jump up, sell out of it, put the money back to work somewhere else. Same thing with AMD, NVIDIA all day. Look at this beautiful up, came back down, met it back up here and closed. And Tesla all morning and all afternoon, nothing but run up. 336.27 high, sitting at 335.20. All in all, an amazing market day. You're looking at the stocks that I have laid out and done my research on, saying potentially these are the best day trade stocks. Get in and out yourself, do your homework, do your due diligence. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this video. Hopefully you are gaining something out of this, as I am. We are a community that continues to grow. If you have not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time we upload a new video, and smash that like button for me. And lastly, drop those comments down there. I would love to hear from you to know what's going on. What are you looking at? What did you make money in? Where did you lose money? What did you do right? What did you do wrong? Let's teach each other everything. And believe me, everybody's reading those comments when you put your comments in there. And I have vowed to try to answer every single comment that is in there. I pretty much think I've hit that nail on the head with that, and I'm going to continue to do so. So thank you so much for being here. Everybody have a good night. Looking forward to giving you the market update tomorrow. Looking forward to see what we do at 4 a.m. when it opens up and when the market bell hits at 9:30. Josh out. Peace.